everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to Daily Distinction that we're doing almost daily as meetings and everything else get in the way. Hope everybody else is doing great, having a great Tuesday. It is a beautiful, beautiful day here in Las Vegas. I hope it is as pretty wherever you are around the world today. Good grief. I was on a conference call a little bit earlier today with my good friend Frank Furness in the United Kingdom. And what a world we live in that, you can sit and have an online call with somebody halfway around the world. And we have that every day here on Daily Distinction, where we have folks from all over the world watching in. So thanks for being here. Whether you are live or whether you're on the replay, please hit share so that we can grow our audience and so you can share these ideas and concepts with your friends and the people who watch in. So glad that you are here. Also, the reminder, as always, that you can join the Iconic Inner Circle absolutely free. First month is on me. You can quit at any time. There's no obligation, and you can get information on how to craft and tell a better story, how you can deliver more powerfully on virtual connections and virtual events, how you can create personal distinction. And there is an ongoing weekly assignment to help you create distinction, stand out, earn more. It's absolutely free. Why wouldn't you give it a try? Just go to iconicinnercircle.com. That's iconicinnercircle.com. No reason for you not to. It's free. You can try it out, sample it. Love to see you there in the Iconic Inner Circle. It is for you. All right. Here's a cliche, something that we've all heard and we've all heard repeatedly, and that is experience is the best teacher. I thought that, right? The more experience I have in something, the better I would be. The more experience that you have at whatever you do, the better that you're going to get. But now that's even called into question today. Is experience the best teacher? And I want to suggest to you that sometimes, not all the time, don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't want an inexperienced brain surgeon. I don't want an inexperienced, mechanic, right? I don't want to be the first car that mechanic ever works on. That's why they go to technical school, not to do it on my expense, right? Experience is a great teacher, but is it the best teacher in today's world? And I'm going to suggest to you that can also be called into question a little bit, because experience can also be a trap. Experience can also lead us to say, we've never done it that way before. Experience can also lead us to say, well, I've got great experience. Why should I continue to learn? Experience can trap us in our current circumstance, in our current way of thinking. By the way, one of the things that I've always disagreed with, I've heard speakers get up and say, if all you do is all you've done, all you're going to get is what you've got. In other words, if we keep repeating what we've done, we can't expect enhanced results. That's a lie. Because if all you do is what you've done, you're going to get less than what you've had. Because your competition is getting better. The marketplace is getting more sophisticated and more demanding all the time. So if you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to get less than what you've had in the past. Donovan's here, and he is absolutely right. Keep learning. That's what we've got to do. And experience can make you lazy. Yes, it can. We rest on our laurels. We just sit back and think we've learned it all. Robert Booker in the house. Good day to you too, my friend. Thank you very much. Scott, good to see you as well as always from back home. So glad that you were here. So experience can be a trap. And it can especially be a trap if what you've learned is now outmoded or outdated. I used a doctor as an example earlier. I mean, there's a reason why doctors have to participate in continuing education to keep their license. I don't want my doctor treating me the same way they treated patients in the 80s. In the 80s, it was fine. I don't want them to treat me the way they did 30 years ago. I want them to understand the latest, the best way of doing it. I don't want my accountant taking care of my books the way that they did 10 years ago. Tax laws have changed. Certain things are different, right? And so you have to continue to learn and to grow and to get new training and to get more. Robert, it's interesting where you're going there. I'm going to talk about that in a second. That's absolutely right. I mean, it is a fascinating thing that's changing. So I was at dinner. Tammy and I went to a dinner on Sunday night, and I did not get his permission to share this, so I'm not going to share who it was, but it is a very influential business person here in Las Vegas, and he's chairman of the board of a company that has retail outlets all over America. And he started talking about artificial intelligence and about what that's going to look like for the future. And I found this quote, and he mentioned a quote when we were at dinner, and I found the exact quote from Ray Kurzweil. This is an enormous change, as big as that from foraging for food to farming, or from farming into industry. And if we don't feel a little uneasy, if you don't have qualms about a change that big, you really aren't paying attention. Here's what they're saying. Now, there's varying estimates, but this was the best I could find. Artificial intelligence will outperform humans within a decade. And as you can see here, some of them quicker than that. Translating languages by 2024, I think we're almost there. Have you ever used Google Translate? It's unreal. It's unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, you could be in a foreign country, and as long as you got an internet connection, you can communicate with anybody, even if you don't know the language using it. It's absolutely unbelievable, and it's in your hands, in your phone. Going to be better writing high school essays by 26. It's going to be better driving truck. My dad spent a long part of his life as a truck driver. It's amazing to me that artificial intelligence is going to be driving trucks by 2027. This is 2021, about to be 22. It's 5 years. It's just amazing when we think of what it can do. My friend Jerry has it absolutely right. Improvement requires ongoing retraining. Tom, you're absolutely adapt or die. I mean, it is the constant in life of change. You are so right, Tom. So many years ago, I had the privilege of being the speech coach for the real life Captain Phillips. Rich Phillips, one of the greatest guys I've ever met, just an absolutely amazing guy. And he's the guy that Tom Hanks played in the movie Captain Phillips. So I'm speech coaching the real life Captain Phillips. And as we're talking, one of the things we're talking about the first time we got together was what did the movie really not portray as deeply that was really on your mind as all this was going through? And Rich had an amazing answer. Everything that he had learned in his training to be the captain of this giant cargo ship, everything that he had learned, everything he had studied, one of the things that was drilled into them is don't give up the ship. The captain is the last person off the ship. You never leave your people. You never leave your team. You never do that. It was drilled into him in all of his training and in all of his experience. It was drilled into him. But now he has Somali pirates on his boat, holding guns to the heads of his people, saying, negotiating. And he realized the only way that he could save the lives of his crew was to make a decision that ran counter to everything that had been a part of his training. Could you have made that decision? Now, you might say, well, it was a matter of life and death. I mean, obviously you're going to, yeah, but if you think about it, I mean, I thought so much about, for example, one time I was on a flight. We were flying out of Amsterdam. I'm flying out of Stockholm to go to Amsterdam, just giving a speech for BMW. And it's Sunday morning and flying out, and it's unseasonably cold. I mean, for that time of year that I was there. And we go for takeoff, and the plane is rolling, and you hear this loud bang. And the engine shut down, and they stomp on the brakes, and we skid to a stop at the end of the runway. The engine had exploded. Taxi back up. They take us off. I mean, it's a mess. Now I've missed my connecting flight. I mean, all this. Okay, so I get on this later flight from Stockholm to Amsterdam, and I'm sitting next to a woman, and she is obviously, from her attire, a pilot. And so we start talking. Come to find out, she was the pilot on the flight that I was on. And I said, so what went through your head when this happened? I mean, so she said, most every pilot I know has never had happen what we had happen today. Because I'd mentioned, man, I fly a lot. I've never had this happen. She said, 99% of the pilots I know have never had this happen. And I said, so how did you respond so quickly? You know, thank goodness it happened on the ground, not in the air, right? I mean, not when we're in critical. And she said, the funny thing was, in my head, it was, this can't be happening. This never happens. This is so unusual. This can't be happening. While my body was shutting down the engines and stomping on the brakes. And I said, isn't that fascinating that your physical reaction was almost without thinking, because what you were thinking was, and she said, that's how good our training is, which I'm really glad of. But stop and think for a minute about Captain Phillips. Because everything he's been trained, everything he's going to go through is don't give up the ship, don't give up the ship, fight everybody, keep your crew. But yet if he does that, his crew's going to get killed, murdered. What do? You decide in that moment that you're going to be relevant. But here's the thing. You and I can decide that ahead of time, right? I mean, the pilot was trained to do exactly the right thing in exactly that situation, even though for 99.9% of pilots and airlines, that will never happen in their entire career. But for the one that did, she did exactly the right thing. Her training was relevant. Captain Phillips's training was not relevant for that situation, but he did what was relevant. In the dictionary defines relevance as the quality or state of being closely connected or appropriate. In other words, we do the right thing given the circumstance in which we currently find ourselves. So when we see this about artificial intelligence, it means we better learn what's going on. And it means that the things that are going to be most valuable in the future are exactly the things we're talking about here. How do you connect with customers? Because it's going to be tougher for a machine to do that. Might drive a truck, might translate a document, might write an essay, but you got to connect. And that's going to be a little bit further down the line, don't you think? But it also means we have to continue to retrain and to learn and to grow at what we do, because we have to maintain the state of being closely connected. And I don't want, I would change this definition a little bit. I would say, and appropriate. Look, there have been changes into what is appropriate or not appropriate right now, right? I mean, there are things that used to be said that we would no longer consider to be appropriate. To be relevant, we have to be appropriate with what's going on now and not expect things to be the way they used to be. Robert, I totally dig that. Martial arts training. Yeah. Slow motion practice burned into the subconscious. Yes. Yeah, exactly. When you maintain that, that's exactly what we're talking about. So we want to maintain that state of being closely connected or appropriate. And I'm going to also suggest to you, you can't be both irrelevant and distinctive. Well, I mean, not in a good way. You'd be distinctively bad, right? But you can't be both irrelevant and positively distinctive. So the challenge for you and me is to not let experience be a trap, but to be the foundation upon which we continue to learn. We got to continue to learn and to grow and to change and to keep getting better, because that is the only way that we create distinction. Hey, if you're tuning in late and you're live, thank you for being here. I hope you share this so that we get viewers. And even if you're watching on the replay, I hope you'll share it so that more folks can watch it. And take a look at Iconic Inner Circle. First month's on me, absolutely free. You can quit at any time. There's no obligation. And you can learn more about the things that we're talking about today so you can continue to learn and to grow and stay relevant. All right. I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you tomorrow on the next Daily Distinction.